Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about question 5 on the Earth and Space Science June 2025 Regents exam. So let's get started. Always underline or highlight any unknown words, word meanings, context clues, important details that are given to you on what everything is about, relationships between things, and circle task verbs that are given to you to answer the question. So let's get started. An observer on Earth sees phases of the moon, but the moon isn't the only solar system body to exhibit phases. Okay, so it seems this diagram or paragraph seems to be about the phases of the moon, so I highlighted that. So Venus also has observable phases. I highlighted this because it seems to be kind of a relationship. Seems to be like we're comparing the moon and Venus as viewed from Earth. Venus's orbit around the sun is approximately 225 Earth days. This is an important context clue, so I'm going to highlight Venus's orbit around the sun. What is it? 225 Earth days. The photograph is talking about this photograph, so I'm going to highlight that. Below shows a moon phase, which seems to be this. So I'm also going to highlight this on the picture. And Venus, right here, I'm going to highlight that, viewed with unaided eyes in the sky. So it seems like this is without a telescope. So I'm just going to highlight that Venus is viewed from with the unaided with unaided eyes, sorry, without a telescope. The inset box must be talking about this box right here, so I'm going to highlight that. Shows Venus observed using a telescope. Oh, okay. So looking back, this seems like okay. The moon is and Venus are both with the unaided eye. You're not using a telescope, but this box itself is showing me what Venus looks like with a telescope. These are without a telescope. Okay. And then both moon and Venus, so I'm highlighting both moon and Venus, seems to be a relationship, are in the crescent phase. I'm gonna highlight that. So the shape must be the crescent phase. And yeah, so all of these highlights, if looking back on just the highlights now, I don't even have to read all of this. I can just see phases of the moon. This is what it's about. Venus also has observable phases. Venus's orbit around the sun is 225 Earth days. This photograph shows the moon phase and Venus with unaided eyes. This inset box is Venus observed using a telescope. Both moon and Venus are in a crescent shape. Pretty easy. You're removing extra words that are irrelevant by highlighting or underlining. Okay, so question number 5. Using our solar system model. So this is a model we're going back to again. We saw this model referred back in question 3. Question 1 through 5 are a cluster. They're related, and the exam told me that in the beginning. So even if I used a model or a model was there or a text piece of text was there in a previous question, they're all related if the question or the exam tells me that they're a cluster. And I have to use multiple sources of information for all the questions. So, using our solar system model, I'm going to highlight that. Construct an explanation for why an observer on Earth can see a cycle of phases for the planet Venus. I'm circling construct because that's a task verb. It's telling me to construct. What am I supposed to construct? An explanation for why. I'm highlighting that. Gives me context clue. An observer on Earth can see a cycle of phases for planet Venus. Okay, so an observer on Earth, so someone you're seeing from Earth, can see a cycle of phases for the planet Venus. Um, so we need an explanation why we are seeing phases for Venus here, just like the moon. Okay. And in the spaces below, right, circle that. That's a task verb. The terms for choice A, B, and C that correctly complete the passage. So I have to write based on choice A, B, and C. I'm highlighting that correctly complete this passage right here. Okay, lots of stuff. So I need to find an explanation for why there's a cycle of phases for Venus based on this model right here. And in these spaces below, I have to write terms for choice A, B, and C that are completing this passage. I'm just looking at the highlights. It gives me better or a clearer picture of what they're asking me to do. Now, Venus orbits the sun, circling Earth's orbit in about 225 days. I'm highlighting Venus orbit and I'm highlighting Sun and I'm highlighting Earth's orbit because previously they mentioned this and this seems to be important. And 225 Earth days is something they gave me here as well. Okay, so I know Venus orbits the Sun in 225 days. that gives me some information based on previous knowledge and previous information given to me. So this means that Venus, highlighting again because Venus comes up a lot, is sometimes blank Earth, highlighting that again, while at other times it is positioned on the other side. So this gives me a clue, okay, that it wants me to tell them about the position of Venus compared to Earth right here in this blank right here, and over here it wants me to say something about probably Venus's orbit because I know Venus's orbit is 225 Earth days. Next, it is this change in relative position, once again position of Venus, so the position of Venus, that causes an observer on Earth to see phases of Venus. So something about positions of Venus causing the observer on Earth to see phases of Venus. Okay, so let's see what choices we should do. Venus orbits the sun, circling either inside or outside Earth's orbit in about 225 days. Let's go back to a previous question, actually. I'm going really back. This, our solar system model, like they told us, and it looks like Venus is orbiting inside the Earth. You see, I'm all going all the way back to question 3, the solar system model that they told me to go back to, and this gives me the clue that Venus's orbit is actually inside Earth. So I'm gonna move forward again to question 5, coming back. So Venus's orbit should be outside Earth's orbit. Okay. This means that Venus is sometimes closer to or farther from Earth, while at other times it is positioned on the other side of blank. You know what? Let's get some context clue on why Venus has phases. Venus goes around the sun on a path that is inside Earth's orbit, like we saw. And so, since it's moving inside Earth's orbit, kind of like this, its orbit is also not fully circular. It's elliptical. So sometimes it's closer to the sun, sometimes it's farther from the sun. But it's also, since it's closer to the sun compared to Earth, it actually moves a little faster around the sun than the Earth does. Remember, as the planets are farther away from the sun, they're moving slower. That means since Venus is orbiting faster than the Earth is, sometimes Venus is found closer to Earth, but sometimes Venus is found on the other side of the sun right here, farther away from Earth. And because of this, from our perspective as an observer on Earth, sometimes we're seeing just the shadow of Venus, like here, so it looks dark to us. But depending on where Venus is at around the sun, sometimes we're seeing like a gibbous or a little crescent shape like this, or even a bright Venus sometimes. So it depends on where it's positioned. We should also look at our reference table. It looks like they have some information on page 2, and it gives me information on the distance of Venus and Earth compared to the Sun and the period of revolution, how fast or slow they're going. So not only does our solar system model have all that information, but now I know Venus is closer to the Sun, so it must be circling inside the Earth's orbit. Okay. So based on all of those information, and you over time will have a lot of background information just by practicing this. But this is a whole idea is to show you that even if you don't know anything about this, you can find context clues not only in the exam itself, but in your reference table, in previous images or diagrams given to you, and so on. So Venus should be sometimes closer to Earth, while at other times it's on the other side of the blank. So it must be sometimes closer to Earth and on the other side of the sun. It is sometimes farther from Earth, yes, but at other times it is positioned on the other side of what? It's got to be either the sun or the moon, and Venus is never on the other side of the moon. The moon orbits the Earth, but Venus orbits around the sun. The Venus never goes around the Earth like that or around on the other side of the Earth. So that's why B must be closer to Earth, and while at other times position must be on the other side of the sun. Um, and it's this change in relative position of Venus that causes an observer on Earth to see phases of Venus. So choice A should be inside, choice B should be closer to Earth, and choice C should be the sun. Always look at multiple places to find your answer, and it should help you out. Look at context clues, see what's being related to, look at the next sentence to figure out what it's trying to ask you, and it should work out. In the next video, we're going to talk about question 6. That's it.